What are you guys doing here? Wait. Oh. Now I know why you're here. Alright, well, play the intro. Hey guys, NTC here. Oh, fuck this. Should I really be doing this? Like, really? You know, I could be doing a lot of things right now that are more interesting and much more fun than this. I mean, what's even the point of this video? You already know what my thoughts are going to be. You already know that I think it sucks. So what's even the point of this? What's even the point of talking about this? I mean, you know, I wish I could just have this screenshot and just have it for like 10 seconds and then end the video. And by the end of it, you'll realize, hey, he probably thinks it's crap. And that's all I need to know. But no, I wouldn't do that to you. I mean, I wouldn't want to waste your time. And honestly, that's not how we should really form our opinions anyway. I mean, like, if you're gonna form an opinion on something, like whether you think something is good or bad, you should actually have some good reasons as to why you think that thing is either good or bad. I mean, you can't just say, it sucks, and that's it. I mean, like, you just can't do that. And I've already gotten the common complaint that, like, oh, Sam, you don't even watch the stuff that you think it's crap. You just like to follow the gay public opinion because you don't have an opinion of your own. But here's the thing, I actually do watch the stuff that I think is crap. And on top of that, I watch every single second of it to make sure that I can get all the problems with what I'm watching. So I can actually give some good, solid reasons as to why I don't like it. I mean, you can't just go like, oh man, I hate Frozen. I mean, it just sucks so much. Oh really? Well, why do you hate Frozen? I hate it because it just sucks so much. Dude, do you actually have a reason why you think it sucks? You don't have a reason? No, I don't. Hey buddy, here's an idea. How about you actually watch the movie from beginning to end? And maybe by the end of it, you'll probably still think it sucks, but at least you'll actually have reasons as to why it sucks. Then you'll be able to explain your opinion better, okay? Okay, gotcha. So there you go, that's how you should do it. But now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. How are you reviewing this movie even though it's still in theaters? I mean, have you actually seen the movie? Well, I'll be honest. No, I have not seen the movie in theaters. Now hold it. Please do not write down in the comment section that I'm a hypocrite. Please don't do that. Let me explain. No, I have not seen the movie. I didn't see it when it first came out. I haven't seen it now, and I'm not planning to see it in the future. I just didn't think it was worth my time to go to the nearest movie theater, pay 15 bucks for a movie ticket, then go into a room so I could watch the movie. I pretty much just said, no, I'm not seeing the movie. Nope, nothing's gonna change my mind. No, not gonna see it. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Okay, so how do you know the movie is garbage even though you haven't seen it yet? Well, thanks to a quick wiki search, a few trailers, a few previews, and some images online, I was able to find all of the problems with the movie. Yeah, that's right. I managed to find all of the problems with the movie without having to go see it. I mean, it's like when the Nostalgia Critic pointed out, like, most of the problems with Transformers 5 without actually seeing it. And I'm willing to bet that some of you watching my video right now have probably not seen the Emoji Movie either. And you also are wondering, why is the movie hated? Why is it actually so bad? Well, don't worry. I will tell you all the problems with the movie, I swear. So, you guys ready? Okay, let's get right into it. Now, before we get into it, I'm just gonna let you guys know right now that I'm not gonna show you a lot of clips from the movie. It's still in theaters, and the only clips I can actually get from the movie are the trailers, the previews, and so forth. But to be quite honest, I don't really want to show you a lot of clips from the movie. Why? Because I'm afraid if I show you way too many clips of it, your eyes will probably pop out of your skull, and then will land on the floor, and then they will melt. And they'll be gone forever. So I'm afraid that if I show you too much, then you won't be able to see anything anymore. You won't be able to see the wonderful flowers grow. You won't be able to see the blue sky anymore. And you won't be able to see a woman's... Okay, you get the idea. Okay, let's start with story first. Alright, so the story is about a yellow character who doesn't have any friends and is labeled as an outcast by society. Gee.
Haven't seen that yet.
Okay, so the character's name is Gene, but he's also known as the meh emoji. And it turns out that he is supposed to be the entire embodiment of that one emotion. And he's supposed to have that emotion wherever he goes for the rest of his life. Gee.
Haven't seen something like that before.
And it turns out that this emoji actually lives in a big, gigantic city known as Textopolis, where all the emojis come together to hang out, shoot the shit, have fun, and just be themselves. So yeah, pretty much the entire city is just made up of emojis. Gee.
Haven't seen something like that in a while.
But it also turns out that this little utopia is actually inside of every single person's smartphone. Yeah, that's right. It's like there's just a little world inside of our smartphones, and they're the ones that actually help our smartphones function without us even realizing it. Gee!
Haven't seen that concept before.
And during the movie, Mel actually comes across two new characters that later become his friend. One is the high five emoji, and another is named Jailbreak, who looks like a goth emoji, and oh, for God's sake!
She's just Wild Style 2.0!
I mean, it's no longer trying to hide the fact that they stole from other movies. I mean, like, what the actual Okay. Okay. Now you're probably wondering, what the hell was that? Well, that was just a little alarm I installed before I started this video. Yeah, I was also afraid that if I started yelling and screaming while talking about this movie, I would probably blow out your eardrums. So just in case, if I yell and scream again, I set up that alarm. So every single time I'm about to like yell and scream and rant and just like go all the way crazy, that alarm goes off and it will tell me to calm down. Okay, now that I've already pointed out the first problem with this movie, how this movie steals from other movies, let's go ahead and try to look deep into the story. The keyword being try. Okay, so like I said before, the yellow testicle's name is Gene, and he's supposed to be the meh emoji. Now Gene, voiced by TJ Miller by the way, lives in a big gigantic world known as Textopolis, where, again, like I said before, all the emojis come together to have fun and, you know, all that crap. And it turns out that all the emojis have just one emotion, and they actually are the entire embodiment of that emotion, and they're supposed to have that emotion for the rest of their days. But it turns out that Gene actually has more than one emotion, which is apparently a big no-no in this society. And that's why he's labeled as an outcast and is labeled as weird and not really like us. And that's the reason why he doesn't have any friends. So his parents, named Mel and Mary, are very worried about him because 1, no emoji is allowed to actually be like this. 2, they don't even know any other emoji that can actually do this. And 3, Gene actually wants to work at a place called the database. What's the database? Well, that's the place where all the famous emojis come together to work and actually be used by the user of the smartphone whenever they're texting or chatting someone in the real world. So Gene's parents are very hesitant about him working in the database because they're afraid he's going to do something that might actually screw everything up. But Gene tells them that, hey, I want to prove myself. I want to prove to myself that I actually can be useful. So his parents agreed to let him go to the database, where it's actually being run by another emoji known as the smile emoji, who is, shockingly enough, the creepiest out of all the emojis in this movie. That's just disturbing. Okay, so Gene is at the database for the first time. He wants to prove himself and show everyone that he actually can be useful. So, what ends up happening? Well, this happens. In the human world, we see the user of the smartphone, named Alex, I think, that doesn't matter. So, he is actually texting his crush right now, and he actually doesn't know what to text back to her. So he decides to use an emoji, and for some strange reason, he decides to use the meh emoji. So, when meh is told that he's going to be used by the user, he starts panicking, he then freaks out, and then in the end, makes the wrong face. So after destroying the text center, don't ask, Smiley tells Gene that he's a malfunction, and that he can no longer be used ever again. So, he gets sent to a place where all the emojis that never get used hang out. It's kind of like the Stay Home for the Ugly from Garbage Pail Kids. Oh God. Did I just mention Garbage Pail Kids in a review about the Emoji Movie? That is not a good sign. So while there, Gene comes across another emoji known as High Five, who actually used to be an emoji that was popular, but no longer is because he actually stopped getting used by users. So as they're befriending each other, Smiley decides that he's way too much of a malfunction to even exist. So she sends a bunch of black robots to delete him, which is another way of saying, hey, I'm sending these robots to kill you! So the robots chase after a man High Five, and this chase eventually leads them to actually being out of the city. So they try to get themselves back. And along the way, they come across another emoji known as Wild Style. Wild Style 2.0. Shameful Ripoff. Jailbreak, voiced by Anna Faris, who also even has a mission of her own. So, for the rest of the movie, they're just on this long journey to try and get back to Textopolis, while Smiler sends the robots to try and destroy all of them. And along the way, they go through several apps, a lot of subplots are discovered, there's some truths, and stuff follows, and eventually it leads to, a happily ever after. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't even follow the story, even while I was reading the Wikipedia. And that's the second problem with this movie. The story is way too forgettable and way too confusing. Even when you're reading the wiki of it, you'll be going like, what? This is what's happening in the movie? Like, this is what Smiler's doing? Like, this is the mission that Jailbreak has? Like, what? What? Yeah, this movie is so confusing. Even when you're watching the movie in theaters, you'll be confused. I couldn't follow it, and frankly, I didn't give a shit. I wanted to be invested in the story, I actually wanted to care, but I was really more questioning why this movie was made and why the story even is happening, rather than what's actually going on with the characters, what their dilemmas are, and so forth. Okay, that's problem number 2. What's problem number 3? Well, it is the comedy. And even if you actually have never seen the movie, you know that the comedy is bad. And not just bad, really friggin' bad. It ranges from stupid to just awful. This is some of the worst jokes I've ever heard in my entire life. They do it all. They do visual humor, they do poop jokes, and they also do some of the worst puns ever. And they even throw in a few gross jokes. Now, if you really want to know how bad this comedy really is, let me give you an example. Okay, so there's a scene where High Five wants to get into a party where all the other emojis are at. But he's told by security that he can't go in because he's actually not allowed. But it turns out that this other emoji, which is the fist bump emoji, it's actually allowed in. And when he's allowed in, High Five says this.
Oh, fist bump, come on in. Hey, ladies.
Fist bump? He's a knucklehead. Literally.
Nah, hold it. Don't face palm just yet. I will let you know when you can, okay? Okay, you see how bad the comedy is? Come on, both Osmosis Jones and Shark Tale have better puns than that. My goodness. Oh, and if you want another good example, well, here is another one. Okay, so in one scene where High Five, Matt, and Jailbreak are at Candy Crush, don't worry, we'll get to that later, High Five says that he no longer wants to eat any more candy after experiencing what he just experienced in Candy Crush. So, he accidentally coughs up a candy corn, but actually wants to eat it again. And Med tells him, no, don't do it. It's already been in there once. Don't you eat it. So after he says that, this happens.
Oh, never eating another piece of candy ever again.
High Five, don't do it. Don't you do it. It's already been in there once.
Okay, now you can facepalm. So yeah, the comedy sucks. Okay, let's get to problem number 4, and that is, this entire movie just wastes the little talent they actually have. Now the thing is, this movie actually does have a really good cast. It has people like TJ Miller, Anna Faris, Patrick Stewart, Sofia Vergara. They actually do have people that can actually be funny if they're given the right script. But the problem is, they're not given the right script. And their talents are just wasted in this movie. They're just given nothing to work with. I will give them credit that their voice acting isn't horrible by any means. It didn't really hurt me. but their voice acting isn't even that great either. It just kind of feels like every single time they say a line, it just feels like it's hurting them inside. And I wish I could have actually liked these characters, but here's problem number 5 with the movie. I didn't give a crap about the characters. I mean, I wish I did, but they just were not that interesting. They were just way too bland, and I never gave a damn about any of them. I mean, I wish I could be invested with, like, Gene's dilemma of wanting to fit in, but I just couldn't. I wish I could have been, like, invested in Jailbreak's dilemma in the movie, but I couldn't. Why? Because I just didn't give a damn about them. I mean, I don't hate the voice actors and actresses in this movie. It's just, they're just given nothing to work with. And the writing does not make them interesting characters at all. And you want to know what makes the writing even worse? Well, it gives us problem number 6. It's moral. Now, this moral is quite possibly the most overused moral in movie history. I mean, there have been several movies that have done this lesson before. And we even learned this lesson when we're 5 years old. It's the just be yourself, don't have to be like everybody else. Just be your own you. And the biggest problem with this moral is that it's way too friggin' obvious. I mean, could you imagine if the characters, instead of like saying the moral like to us or kind of subtly giving it to us, they just sang the moral to us, so the message just gets jammed in our friggin' heads. Now, this is the most cliched moral in movie history. So here's the moral of this movie. Be your own you, be your own you. Don't do what I do, just be your own you. It's much more fun to be yourself than copy everybody else. Be your own you, be your own you. Try something new, find your own things to do. Copying is clearly theft, it's gonna lead to your LS. Be your own you. And when you stop to being such a dirty hag, get in your fucking car and don't come back. Yeah, I think we would have flipped out if the movie actually went that route. Now here is the 7th and final problem with this movie. The pop culture references. Good fucking God, there are way too friggin' many. Now, of course, they run the obvious gamut. They give us some obvious references like YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Yep, that's fine. But then they do stuff like firewalls and Dropboxes and iCloud, and they also give us like Spotify, they give us Candy Crush, and good fucking God, they even make a reference to a Just Dance app. What the actual... What the living fuck? You know what? Instead of calling this the Emoji Movie, they should have probably called this the Pop Culture Movie, because almost every other second, they make a reference to something. Like, they reference, again, like several different kinds of apps, and then they just do some slang, and also there's even some dialogue that's even forced. That's also another problem with the movie. Sometimes the dialogue is really forced and not funny. I mean, there's just way too many pop culture references in this movie, and every time they do one, it just friggin' hurts. So, okay, so you might be thinking, oh, wow, this movie must be really, really bad. Is it really the worst animated film you've ever seen? Is it actually the #1 worst animated film of all time? Well, I'm actually going to be 100% honest when I say this. In my opinion, the Emoji Movie is not the worst animated film ever. I'm going to say that again. The Emoji Movie, in my opinion, is not the worst animated film I've ever seen. And I will explain why. The movie actually only has one good thing in it, and that is its animation. I mean, I actually will admit this. The animation, even though it's not perfect by any means, actually looks okay. There actually are some nice colors. It actually is bright. I mean, there actually are some nice details. The characters do move smoothly, and it actually really isn't that bad. And I could tell that the animators did put a lot of effort into the animation. But that also leads to a couple other problems with the movie. One, why didn't they put that amount of effort into the writing? Why couldn't they do that into the story, into the characters? Why do they have to waste most of it on the animation? And two, this movie doesn't deserve the good animation. I mean, it deserves food fight quality. It deserves Norm of the North quality. It deserves Ratatouille quality. It should have that bad of animation, but it doesn't. And I will applaud the movie for that. It actually does have some okay animation, and especially with a $50 million budget, they actually do make the most of it. But I just wish that same amount of effort... but I wish that same amount of effort would have gone into the writing, the jokes, the story, and the characters. I mean, the animation is okay, but it's not enough to save the movie. I mean, hey, this movie could have probably been like the Lego Movie. Like, when that movie was coming out, many people were going like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a horrible movie. But when the movie came out, people loved it. The story, the characters, the jokes, and the message, they were fantastic. And, hey, if the Emoji Movie actually had that kind of quality, it could have been okay. I mean, it wouldn't have been close to how good the Lego Movie was, but it would have at least come close. At least just by a little bit. But sadly, the Emoji Movie does not. Now, I will say this. It isn't as bad as Food Fight or Norm of the North, as those films actually had worse animation and even uglier and much more uninteresting characters. But the Emoji Movie is still bad, and I will consider it one of the worst animated films of all time. So, okay, let's give the movie its final score. If I had to give the Food Fight movie a -7, and if I gave Norm of the North a -6, I would give the Emoji Movie a -6.5.
Bottom line, this movie is a waste of friggin' time. Do not go see it in theaters. Do not buy it on DVD, unless you're wanting to burn it in the fireplace. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible movie, and what else can you say, but... Really, Sony, you canceled the Popeye movie for this? For this? Hope it was worth it.
Hey, you know, I wish I could have just yelled and screamed while I reviewed this movie. I wish I could have unleashed a big gigantic rant and really let this movie fucking have it. But, to be quite honest, I don't think I could do a really good rant on this movie. But I do know someone who can. 3 hours of eating dinner, taking a shower, a quick change of clothes, and some creepy phone number searching later. Okay, finally, got his number. Alright, let's go call him. I hope he ain't too busy. Meanwhile...
Yes, this is Nostalgia Critic Jr. Who might I be speaking to?
Hey man, this is the Nostalgia Teen Critic, and guess what? I'm almost done reviewing the Emoji Movie.
What? What the hell, man? Why would you fucking do that? Let alone bring that to me?
Yeah, I know. Biggest mistake of my life, I get it. But look, I need you to do something for me real quick. I wanted to unleash a big, gigantic rant towards this movie, but honestly, I don't think I can actually do a really good rant on this movie. So, I was wondering, could you do one for me?
Sure thing, man. Anything for you.
Really? Oh, wow, thank you. Okay, here, I'll put you on speakerphone so my entire audience can hear you. Alright, go ahead, man. You got a good rant?
Actually, yes, I do. You see, this movie is indeed the most creative flapping, joy-sucking, millennial pandering, intelligence insulting, sellouting, time-wasting, audience-raping, life-stealing, AIDS-giving, hair canal, infecting...
1 hour later.
Ear idea aborting, respect-attracting, puppy-slaying, English language perverting...
2 hours later.
Evolution reverting, impersonating a Wreck-It Ralphing, culture destroying...
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Desperate decision-making movie all fucking time! Ah!
Thank you for that wonderful, really inspiring and very descriptive rant. It was, I loved it, I really did. So, thank you for your time, and don't worry, I'll pay you back. Alright, thank you, man, bye-bye. Note to self. Never call the NTC Jr. again. Hopefully he does not call back. Ever again. Oh my god, shut up! Well, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'm the NTC, and good night, everybody. Thank God that I got through the movie. And also, thank you, God, for getting me through this in one piece. I mean, if I actually saw one more clip from that movie, I would have just flipped out.
Should we wash our hands?
No. We're number 2.
Sure, man. Anything for you. Who the fuck wrote this?